Right. We up in the joint. Uh-oh. Brother George is up in there. Them brothers lined up. Look at there. Them brothers lined up. They on deck and they lined up. Now I ain't letting y'all in right away for the simple fact that the sisters are gonna be in like the brothers were in last week. So basically, your questions will be posed to the sisters, and so we're gonna put y'all in a little bit later, okay? But y'all can stay on deck like that right there if you choose to. I see you. I see you, cousin George, D Funkavinci, and brother Haroon. I see you. Ain't like I'm missing y'all. I see y'all on deck. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know what I mean. It's not like those faithful rollers. You know what I mean? They ready to get down. You know what I mean? No worries. You can probably join later on. It's up to you. You know what I'm saying? Get in later on after you finish. You know what I mean? We'll still be on. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you. You know what I mean? Uh, Brother George, you can go ahead and cut your video off at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And when we go ahead and put the brothers in, you know what I mean, after the sisters, because they're gonna let they're gonna let down the uh, the basis of the foundation of the conversation because the brothers did all that good work last week. So we're gonna let the sisters go ahead and come on in, uh, get in some time. We're not in a rush. You know what I mean? And we're hoping that the conversation evolves into like it did last week. Okay, so I just muted your mic over there, Haroon, just so that no background noise would come in. But can y'all hear me? Cause I can't hear y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I can hear you now. Okay, 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 okay. I'm gonna put you back out, my brother.
Right. All
Okay,
right.
okay. I recognize now. I can hear you when I bring you in. Okay, uh, okay. I recognize I can hear you when I bring you in. It's not until I bring you in that I can hear you. Okay, because I got these new earphones that I'm checking out. Um, that brother went ahead and picked up so that uh so he could run with them. You know, but it is not surprising. You know what I mean? It is not surprising. Okay, that's one of our guests coming in right now. MashaAllah. Okay, the sister is in the house. Okay, and this is one of our guests here, Sister Shalina, and she's MashaAllah. She's organizing the other sisters who will be getting in the program, and we like to welcome the sister with the beautiful greetings. Assalamu alaikum, sister. How you feeling?
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm okay.
Okay,
It's the end of my day. I'm
MashaAllah.
getting on with it.
Yeah, definitely. I've been running around all day. Yeah, and a little bit of rest. So, okay, this is another sister coming in that sister hooked up for us. Okay, Sister Vanessa. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sister?
Walaikum salam. How are you? I'm good, thank you.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Okay, so like always, sisters, uh, we got some brothers that arrived long before y'all arrived, and they were on deck, you know. And I told the brothers, I said, you brothers are mighty early, you know what I mean? These sisters, you got to give these sisters some time to get up in here, you know. And And just for the sisters that are not familiar with the program, okay, my channel itself is called Hakikat Al Ayam, and I have several programs that are on the channel. This particular program is called the Bowtie Chronicles, okay, and we may cover different topics. You know what I mean? Today, well, actually, last week we dealt with relationships, but we dealt with relationships from the standpoint of just had men on there talking about relationships from their perspective. So we said, okay, we're gonna give the sisters a chance to go ahead and speak and see what are the requirements that sisters are seeking, the most important things. Okay, and we heard a lot of things last week from the brothers. Okay, and so that's in relation to one program that we have, which is called the Bowtie Chronicles. And so we also have another program that we call Journey to Islam. And so we get with certain people that have reverted to Islam, and we basically let them tell their story. Okay. And then I have another program that I called 40 Acres Without a Mule. And that program is shows purchasing property in Africa, repatriation, and so forth. And so it actually shows the purchasing and the building stages of building houses in Africa and so forth. So without further ado, we like to go ahead and let the sisters go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us where you're at, and and then if you'd like to go ahead and get right in and answer that first question after the introduction, okay, and then you can answer that first question however you choose to, without further ado, we let Sister Shalina go ahead and start, since she's the one who organized the sisters. Okay.
Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum to those of you that are tuned in. So basically, I'm British, and I spent predominantly most of my upbringing in the UK, but I've now been in Kuwait for 6 years, and I'm a teacher by profession, but I've got a very vast background, I guess. I do everything from public speaking on various matters concerning women and Islam, and I also do some singing as well in my spare time, which I'm getting a lovely reputation for. That's me.
Okay, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. And Sister Vanessa?
I am in the U.S. I am a Latina convert to Islam, and I am.
Don't say California, sister.
I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay. Because we got the stronghold. We got the stronghold. We got the stronghold. When you say Latino, just like, oh, you know what I mean? Go ahead. All right, go ahead, sister.
Yeah. And I am a modest fashion designer and the founder of Modestly Cupcake, a size-inclusive, modest brand for Muslim women.
Okay, mashallah. Okay, mashallah. And we have another sister that should be coming on. Okay, until she comes on, we're gonna let you guys go ahead. And there's a question going across the bottom of the screen right there. It's the same question we posed to the brothers last week, and those brothers tore into this question like they were, we went on for, such a long time, because they just, they started pouring out all kind of stuff, and so, we want to kind of like stay concentrated on that question, and then we'll evolve from there. Of course, the brothers are listening in, so of course they don't have their own questions as things continue on. Okay, so without further ado, first question, that's it right there. It says, what are the 5 character traits your spouse or your future spouse needs to have? Okay, the 5 character traits. The most important.
I haven't had time to.
The most. I mean,
for this.
Okay. Hey, some of the brothers, they said some stuff last week that I was surprised with. I'm telling you. But what I would say is this right here, is that we went from what my position was is that I said that my position was that the first character trait is that me and the sister be on the same religious footing. Okay, meaning to say that a lot of brothers right now they feel comfortable with marrying Christian sisters and others. And for me,
Mhm.
from my experience and my background, uh, being in communities where I saw Muslim families where the father married a Christian woman, and then the turnout from the children, how the children reacted to that, and how maybe they didn't grasp the religion the way they should, and so forth. Um, from my perspective, I feel that she has to be the same religion as me. Number one, we got to, in order for the kids to have a religious foundation and not become confused, because I saw children that were confused. The
Yeah.
father was Muslim, the mom wasn't, and so that caused an array of stuff. They were just confused. Okay, and so after that, I said loyalty. Okay, loyalty. Um, and my definition of loyalty may be different from but basically loyalty. Um, loyalty, kind, trust, kindness, and uh, there was another one. There was one more, and I think it was uh, uh, I have to go back and look at the video. Yeah, but the last one was one of those kind of like it was kind of like one of those things that I just said, okay, well, I had four, and those were the main ones, and then I thought of another one. And I said, okay, yeah, this is a good one also. But the brothers also had similar traits that they mentioned. So you know what they say? They say women think different than men. So I'm really, I mean, hey, I would like to know. First character trait.
So, character trait though, like I think that's what I mean is that I think there is this illusion when you first start practicing Islam with your own
Uh-huh.
spiritual journey, you're immersed with Iman. So you are almost purified of your own actions and whatnot. And then I think what happens is your jahiliya, your times of ignorance kind of creeps up on you. And that's where I think it's
Uh-huh.
important that your
Okay.
cultural background does match your spouse's. And I think that's a big mistake people make is they
Okay.
think that they can meet someone that will be an amazing Muslim and they will just love for the sake of Allah, and that all those things don't matter. But no, they do matter because
Okay.
ultimately, when it comes to the times when your spouse might dip, that's 50% of your iman, right? That's the
Okay.
other 50% of
Okay.
your iman. And technically, if my other half can recognize my weaknesses, so it might have been smoking weed, it might have been going to clubs, it just might have been a
Wow.
certain fitna, a
Yeah.
trial for me, like
Okay. So
my,
so so your first. I gotta understand this. So you saying that your first character trait is that the person have the same um cultural background, cultural identity.
yeah, I think that's important. I really think it is
Okay.
because we're trying to better ourselves, and we need someone who's not going to judge us or misunderstand
Okay.
us when we do something.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Back me up,
Okay.
Vanessa.
Okay.
Am I next?
Okay. The reason why I'm questioning that is because for me, I'm married, and and uh, sometimes your character traits, or okay, sometimes your cultural background can be you can get with a spouse that's from your cultural background or from your jahiliyyah, and call you back to that, okay?
Mm.
Because of it could be that they haven't properly addressed their issues, okay? Or it could, because we all have our own issues, okay? Don't get me wrong, okay? Brothers got mommy issues, sisters got daddy issues, so we all have our own issues, and on top of that, we have community issues, okay? So for example, for me now, I'm not married to anyone from my cultural background, meaning from the states, okay, African American, okay, and I haven't found that that is a hindrance, okay. Give it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe because I'm older and
because I think you have to
okay,
distinguish. You have to
okay,
distinguish between background, right?
okay,
Ethnicity is one thing, right? But
okay,
cultural values is another. And that's
hmm
why I said,
okay,
like, even the music that we grew up on and the
uh huh,
comedians that we listened to and the movies that we used to kick it with, all of
uh huh,
those things. I'm saying that, at the end of the day, like, technically, if we practice Islam correctly, right, then we transform ourselves and we are able to, live our life in this dunya with someone who loves for the sake of Allah, someone who is striving to have the same actions and whatnot. But when it all goes wrong, we need to know that someone ain't gonna judge us. They can just kick back and go, okay, you know what? That was a fitna for me as well. That tune, oh gosh, but the lyrics and
okay, okay. But that cultural, okay, okay, okay. My understanding was that with the cultural identity thing was that is that sometimes there are things that make people bond closer together that are from your cultural past. But at the same time, there could be things from that past also that are negative. You know what I mean? Because all of us have some negativity in our, you know what I mean? Like, for example, soul food. Okay. A lot of soul food that we have as African Americans originally, a lot of that soul food was made from pork. Okay. And so it takes someone to be, actively motivated to actually be able to keep that same food, but at the same time, convert it to something halal by using other, other methods of cooking. You know what I'm saying? By taking out the pork and you know what I mean. But all of that is cultural, okay? You know, and you lose a lot of identity culturally when you come together as from different backgrounds. Because the Sahaba, a lot of them came together from different backgrounds also. Okay, so that's only one character trait, sister. You still got four more to go. Four more to go. Yeah, I
I would
mean, and
like
and
Vanessa to share her first one because I think it might be similar to mine. I don't
okay,
mind, like,
okay,
because I just
okay,
don't want it
okay,
to be like
okay,
me, you know what I mean? But
okay.
Vanessa, like, bring it in.
Well, I think that it's a given that Muslim women, would want a person who, obviously, we need Muslim men because Muslim women don't generally marry outside of Islam.
Okay.
And so for me, my biggest issue, after being married and divorced more than once, is I agree with Shalina in having the similar experiences, just because I think that both individuals should come from um, an area of understanding. I know plenty of sisters who have
Okay.
married, and when we speak about culture, the definition is so broad because if we minimize that definition to just being like, I'm Colombian, for example, my family's Colombian. If we just minimize culture to our ethnic backgrounds and where our families come from, then I think um, it's oversimplifying the meaning of culture because each every single individual household has its own culture, you know, and it's based on whatever it is that they do on a daily basis and what they adopt from the world, or, you know, disregard from their own culture. So I think the term culture here is very broad. But
Yeah,
for
break it
me,
down. It's food, it's the way that you
yeah,
dress, it's the music that you listen to. You know what I
right.
mean? It's the people that it's so broad, right?
Yeah, it's a very broad term, but like for me, like my first, the most important thing for me, in terms of character trait for someone, and I was not prepared for this question.
I was
This
changing
question,
earphones on you guys. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, no, it's okay. It would have to be the desire for growth, because I feel
Okay.
like we get to a point in our life where we just stagnate and we don't grow and evolve more, and that causes, you know, like a rift, um, and, you know, that desire, that need for, you know, self identity and definition. Um, so I think that desire for growth and, you know, open mindedness, because most people today in general just have like this tunnel vision of what life and relationships should be like, and they just stay on that path and don't open up the possibility of of evolution and growth in a relationship. So I think that, you know, open-mindedness and the desire to constantly evolve, and, you know, accountability, wanting to, you know, being okay with being wrong, is one of my biggest things. So evolution and being okay with, okay, maybe I'm not 100% right on this right now at this moment. So that's me.
Yeah, that's like a characteristic, I guess, that I would move on to is, I think that there is a problem, especially when it comes to marital issues where, your husband is like, Quran and Sunnah tells you that you should do like this. Yeah, but what if I ain't ready to do that? Then it's between me and Allah, right? You gave me
Yeah.
nasiha, now take a back seat and take it to Allah and pray that I can adopt this kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, but brothers, like, that's when you're tested, right? Because you got to love for the sake of Allah. You got to give that sister space, and apply Quran and Sunnah in a different context. And remember that you are not Allah, you know what I mean? And you can only be there to give nasiha, So I think, understanding, and that's where I think that, people are getting married before they understand how to love in Islam. We gotta love for
Yeah.
the sake of Allah, love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then love ourselves. We didn't even get to our spouses or our children. So
Mhm.
I just think that people are loving wrong, and that becomes a big problem. So, whether that characteristic trait is, about being humble,
Okay.
it's
I
necessary.
have a question. If you say something, I got a question. You know what I mean? So how do you get to the point where you get to that? In other words, what are the stages of you mentioned loving Allah, loving His Messenger, okay, and then loving oneself. All right, how do you get to that point? What what must one do to get there?
But this is where I'm saying there's not enough information out there,
Ah,
right? I
okay,
mean, I just
okay,
think
mention,
that,
okay,
yeah, there's not enough information out there. Like, what does, brothers are getting married too quickly and sisters are getting married too quickly, right? Because you're too hungry. What does, the Sunnah tell us? What does Quran tell us? Tells us start fasting, build up your account allowance, you know what I mean? So you're financially in a position, to support a sister. Look at your relationships around you. What's your relationship like, with your own children, with your mother, with your whatnot, you know what I mean? Because ultimately, like, it's upon you, I think, to manage those situations so that it
okay.
doesn't become a fitna or a trial moving forward.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna say to those brothers that are listening, if you brothers got some questions,
I'm gonna let y'all go ahead because I know y'all hearing it. So and Brother George, he stepped out for a second, so I know Brother Haroon has something to say. So I'm on mute you, brother, and if you do have something to say, you can address your question to whoever you want to address it to. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to unmute this brother right here. This cannot unmute. Okay. So he's doing the muting. So whenever he has a question, he'll go ahead and he'll ask. Okay. So the reason why I asked that question was because I think that the part of understanding here should be in relation to knowledge. Okay. So yes, people enter into the religion and then they go through a point where they're trying to get married because they're afraid. All right. I remember when I became Muslim, I was like that too. When I became Muslim, I was already married. Okay. But that quickly started, kind of like going haywire. And so I was trying to get married so that I, wouldn't be find myself in situations. Now, as far as the knowledge of loving Allah, loving His Messenger, that comes with studying. Okay, and as far as what I understand, comes with studying. So one seeks kind of knowledge that would bring the person closer to Allah and to know the Messenger, so that love is cultivated. You understand what I'm trying to say here? So when they do get into a situation of a relationship, they know how to love. You know what I mean? They know how to love. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, I mean,
I think that women in general need to find their purpose and be 100% happy with who they are as individuals before they get into any type of relationship. Because women go into a mentality.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think that women go into a relationship with a mentality that they're going to be the sole pleasure and happiness of one individual. And unfortunately, that's just not the case for anybody. You know what I mean? And men also, some men go into marriage with the, mentality that women are going to be everything that patches everything that's wrong in their life. And that's also a very wrong mentality. So I think that before women even think about, getting into a relationship and getting married, she needs to be set. Who is she? What is her happiness? Is it really another individual or a person? What does she want to do with her life? Does she want to continue education? What are her passions? What is she interested in? I think that as individuals, we have to give ourselves that room and that right to define that on our own without going into something so quickly.
Wow.
Because that's the problem, is I think that unfortunately, and well done for bringing that up, Vanessa, I love that. You know what I mean? That's the problem, is that we do not, there's no clear clarity anymore about what is healthy and what is toxic.
Right.
Because ultimately, and this is why I said loving for the sake of Allah is really important, especially if the other spouse ends up in a situation, where you are tested. For example, mental health issues. We are in a situation right now, COVID and what is bringing out some serious issues, mental health issues. We know that there's problems in the household, but when you're now in the walls, in the four walls with that one person, and you got stuff that you're dealing with from trauma, like that's just a next hurdle. And I don't think there's enough being spoken about. We know there's porn addictions happening right now. All of these kind of things. Like, unfortunately, I don't see enough leaders from our community, imams or whatever you want to do it, talking about this stuff anymore. And it is so needed,
They have a group of imams, and it's called the Imam Roundtable. It's in America, and they are speaking about mental health issues. But what they've also made clear is that imams are not doctors. Okay, and a lot of they've made clear that imams are not doctors. That a lot of communities is that they hire imams and they actually think that the imam can deal with all of these social illnesses, and they can't. That's why a community should have qualified psychiatrists. Okay, sit down and work out these. I got you, Brother Haroon. As soon as I finish, Brother Haroon has a question. I don't know who the question is for. We're gonna let the brother get in here. Get up in there, brother, and go ahead and ask your question.
From a woman's perspective, because I just recently got divorced. She did Kula. I didn't want to get a divorce. Okay. She didn't want to reconcile. She didn't want to do anything. Now, I'm a bit confused of how everything went down. For example, we made an agreement that we were going to work it out. And then somehow, we were not living together. I was living in a different country. She was in a different country. So I was going back and forth to Kenya while I was working in Saudi Arabia. And so when I went back to Saudi Arabia, we already made an agreement that we were going to work it out. A couple months down the line, there was a gradual disconnect. We stopped communicating, talking, and then she just basically told me she wanted a divorce, and she was taking some classes by Mind Valley, and she was already like 6 weeks already into the program. Anyway,
Sister Shalima knows something about that Mind Valley, I think, because she chuckled, so she knows something. So when you finish, we're gonna see what's going on with Mind Valley, because she knows something. She chuckled, bro.
And it was,
go ahead.
And she told, my ex-wife even told me I should take these classes because they help you disconnect from your spouse. And I'm like, we had an agreement, and plus we're supposed to do what a law says in reconciling. Do everything we can to exhaust of not getting divorced.
I think your speaker or your mic has a connection problem, Haroon, because it's popping as you speak.
That's your mic. I was going to say that was yours. That's not mine.
Okay, let me pause mine real fast.
Yeah, it's done. No more popping.
You.
On it. Is it me?
No. I mean, it was
him. So the question I'm asking, because we don't communicate, we don't talk, we only talk from text. What can I do to build a friendship with my wife? I mean, I still care about her, I still love her, and I would rather be married, but I've heard that whole saying, when a woman's fed up, there's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's really working.
Strong. Actually, there's nothing you can do about it. So my thing is, we never had clarity, we never had closure. And my thing is, because I'm so far away and I'm missing my daughter, I'm just trying to figure out, one, how to be in my daughter's life more actively, because I'm back in America, they're in Kenya. And another thing is, how can I build a relationship with her mother when she's just being and choosing to be distant? Now, let me give you a backstory. We lost two kids. We had a miscarriage, and then we lost a baby that lived for one day, and then her brother just recently got killed. Now, this is the thing. This happened within the last 3 years. And so to me, mentally, she's not the same person that she was after the first miscarriage. And
did you give the divorce?
Excuse me?
Did you give the divorce?
No, she did a Kula.
She seeked a Kula.
Okay. She called a Kula. And so the whole thing was, because I was living abroad, I couldn't be there for her emotionally like she wanted me to be, financially, because it's very difficult finding employment in Kenya, so I had to live outside of Kenya, back and forth. But this crazy thing about it, her family and friends and even her psychologist felt as though her reasons were not really valid to get a divorce. Where I'm kind of past that, but my thing is, how can I build a relationship with someone who is taking these classes on Mind Valley and refusing to be a friend, despite the fact we have a child together.
That's
My relationship with my daughter is very good, but my daughter keeps asking me to come home, and
yeah.
somehow the story been told to my daughter is that I left.
Yeah, that's tough. That's not an easy situation to deal with. I think that we don't have a lot to go on because we don't necessarily know what's going on in her mind, or what rationale she has, or it's really tough to answer that question. There could be a lot of things going on. But if you're saying that you're abroad and that you're not, present, then that's probably one of the in my opinion, would be one of the biggest issues. So just figuring out how to be more present, or, figure out what she wants, and keep trying to pry her open, really. Pry her mind open and see what she's trying to get at. Yeah, I don't know, Shalina, what do you think? It's tough.
I guess the reason I giggled with Mind Valley is because Haroon, can you just mute your mic? Can everyone mute this noise?
Yeah.
And it might be mine if you can still hear the noise. So Mind Valley, it's quite dangerous, because what we have to understand is there is this idea outside of Islam now that you can have healing and spirituality and greater spirituality, via these different mediums, and I giggled because I know that there is a thing on Mind Valley talking about that divorce can be looked at as a healing. So God knows what she's looked at, but it might have been that God knows best. But I just think, I've just come out of a divorce myself, is that the biggest strength that we can have as Muslims is by just taking a step back. Tawakkul, dependence upon Allah, is so real. Like, we don't have to force anything. It's all good. Allah is the best of planners. After hardship comes ease. Allah knows what's going on in your heart. Allah says, complain to me. Complain to Allah, right? Because we don't know what's going on in her mind state. We know you got good intentions, but I feel that we really need to exercise that, because that's what I did, And in doing that, any anguish or, all of this really will go away, because of course, Allah is our guardian, our protector, and this is why I laugh, because I say that there's not enough people, showing us that Islam gives us that strength. I was looking at yoga for a bit, and I told the guy, I was like, look, I'm not going to make the noises or whatever. I brought it back to Islam, subhanAllah, and I made dua to Allah. I was like, how come yoga is so glamorized? Where is this in Islam? And lo and behold, alhamdulillah, it came from me. So, my best advice really is just to take a step back. Whenever any divorce takes place, 3 months is the iddah, and a lot can happen in 3 months. And I think if you just take a step back within 3 months, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, you will get an answer. But in the meantime, you can focus on your salah, you can focus on your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah.
Okay. So one thing, like from a social perspective, my brother went through the same thing when he got a divorce from his first wife, where, women do use children as a manipulation tactic. And that's just something that, unfortunately, some fathers have to deal with and have to learn how to,
Can't be for real. Don't do that.
What's that?
I said, you can't be for real. Sisters don't do that, do they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sarcasm.
Okay.
Oh, was that sarcasm? I'm sorry. It went right over my head.
Sarcasm.
No,
But
yeah,
here's what can you do though? In the meantime, Haroon, right?
you have to
What
be
can you
patient.
do?
I mean, my brother, for example.
You can send voice notes to your
Yeah.
daughter. You can send some money. you can
Yeah.
send some money.
I mean, I send
You know?
I send what I send for child support is more than enough. I think, and you know, I talk to her just about every day. I talk to my daughter just about every day. I've been sending gifts to her periodically, not like I should. The cost of shipping is expensive.
How old is your daughter?
She's 5. She's turning 6 next year, inshallah. And so she's a bit confused. She's a bit hurt because we have a good relationship where we talk, and I listen to her and let her express herself how she really feels. So she basically asked me, Papa, why did you leave? And I had to tell her the truth. And I was like, well, I didn't leave. Your mother told me not to come home. And she just
Okay,
got
so I'm an early years practitioner, and I'll be straight with you, right? From an early years perspective, that's the worst thing you can do, right? Why? Because you need to safeguard that child. That child's world needs to be fairies and angels and whatever. So that's the worst thing you can do. Like seriously, like even with my situation, like I wanna run out of your daddy. You want to talk about your daddy? I'm like, your daddy, mashallah, alhamdulillah. You know what? That's it. Because, you know, it's harmful if we put that for our children. So, like I said, for me, you know, as a mother, I would see that as now that's why I can't have him around my kid. Because she'll use that as an excuse because he wants to say blah, 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 blah. No, I think you should be like positive, inshallah.
Have you visited your family?
I haven't had a chance to see them since January this year.
You haven't seen them since January?
Since January.
Are you planning to go see them anytime soon?
As soon as possible. I'm having issues with my passport here in the United States. So as soon as possible, then I'm trying to relocate. I'm actually a principal.
I think
I'm
that's
actually a
the
principal.
best thing that you can do is to be as visible as possible, just to get to the bottom of everything. Because there's very little, like if a relationship is long distance, there's very little you can do because you're long distance. So it's very important to have like that face-to-face conversation to get to the bottom of everything. And have mediators, you know, help out with the situation.
The strange thing about it, her family and some of her closest friends don't know what's going on. And so she guards herself really talking about us. And so when I asked, can we get mediators? Can we get other people involved? Like one of her good friends, 2 of her good friends, to go talk to her. And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. I've made my decision. That's just it. And so what I've done and what I've asked is that, can you just allow me to talk to her daily? And we do Google Hangout. So to call me on Google Hangout or to call me via WhatsApp. And we'll talk. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's brief, but it's just that I think for both of us, that's a good way of she's seeing me and I'm seeing her. And I try not to say nothing negative about her mother, which I don't. But I kind of felt though when she told me that I was the one who left, that kind of stung me. And my first reaction was like, no, that's not true.
Right.
That was just a reaction. But when she tried to bring things up about her mother, about us, I just keep telling her, like, you know, we both love you. You know, sometimes, you know, things happen in life, but you know, that doesn't mean it's the end. You know, divorce is never the end. You never know. Me and Mom we might get back together. You never know. So I try to be positive as much as possible with her. But she's really, really missing me being there because it's like every time we talk, it's Papa, when you coming home.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of tough for me being back in the United States, and they're there.
Yeah, that's tough. That's really, really, really tough. My brother.
See, you got you. Sorry, sis.
No, yeah, my brother had to, you know, just be patient and wait, and it's been 18 years now. She's grown. His eldest daughter's grown 18 years, and it's going to be a struggle to reconnect because it was like 18 years of, you know, no dad and, you know, manipulation tactics. He would have to, you know, he has to cut out. Ooh, what is that? Did you hear that? Or was that just me?
I think that's you. I heard it, but I think it's coming from over there because I'm gonna mute mine again just so that y'all know it's not me this time.
Yeah, I mean, okay, see, it stopped. The crackling. Yeah, gosh, that's so tough. And men go through it too. I know another brother that went through it where, you know, his wife just took the kids, uprooted them, and went to Egypt, and they rarely see their dad, and it's just something that some men, it's a test from Allah that some men have to deal with.
But don't we have to allow time for, like, you know, and I said it quite bluntly, right? To my ex, I was like, look, you just need to give me some time not to want to smash your face in every time I hear your voice. It's just not healthy for your voice or your face to be in this house right now,
you know,
because then I gotta be around the kids, you know. And that's how it is.
Absolutely. But I think that, you know, I think it's subjective. I think it's like on a case by case basis where, you know, some women have a genuine reason why, and other women just want to be plain spiteful. And I mean, like I said, I don't know the situation. I'm just speaking from experience, from what I've seen with my brother and, you know, other brothers that have to suffer, who really love their children and are genuinely good brothers, and not, you know, our type of husbands, Shalina.
Don't let me stop, you know. But I'm saying though, right, is that, you know, your akhlaq, brother Haroon, right, to the sister, like, she might just be like, oh, this, you know, this brother, blah, 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 you know what I mean? But your akhlaq is gonna soften her, inshallah. And your akhlaq comes from, it's in the name of Islam, you know. And, you know, you can only be to her face and tell her in an email or whatever you want to tell her, WhatsApp, and just say, look, you know, I've sent you money, I've sent a voice note, you know, khalas. You know, I look forward to speaking to her next time, inshallah. Finished. Like, I just think you're prodding her, and she's just like, and every time you prod her, like, she just ain't ready for you right now. Just, how long has it been, by the way?
Well, the divorce, the Islamic marriage went through last month, and the legal, well, the secular one is going through now. But this is the thing. When I text her, I don't talk about us. I just say, how are you doing? And is Amira available to talk? And I just leave it at that. So I don't.
Just gotta back off.
So I don't try to engage in talking with her because I know that she's not in a good space right now, mentally, and not in a good mind. So I give her space. And, you know, some brothers and some sisters, like, you know, you got to keep trying to push her. You got to come. I said, I can't force somebody to be with me.
No.
You can't force it. So I backed off. I just backed off, and when our conversations, and if we do talk, is very briefly. Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? Good. May I speak to Amira? And I just leave it at that. Nothing more, nothing less. And if it is more, how's work? I hope work is going fine with you, and just leave it at that. But between us, like, can I come back home? Can we get back together? I would like to take you out. I still love you. And those, I don't do it.
Have you taken anything from what we've offered you?
Yeah, a
a
lot.
woman's perspective?
Yes, definitely, definitely.
I mean, is she? I'm just curious if she's the one that's trying to reinitiate things, or I mean, I don't understand. Like you, when you speak to her, it's very, short. I want to speak to Amira.
We don't
Is she
speak.
is she trying to like?
We don't speak. Is everything is by text?
Oh, okay, by text, and she
Is
doesn't
everything is
like
by
try to,
text?
bring things up or try to throw
No,
things in your face. No, and I
no.
think that's the best way that you could keep it. Keep it as professional as possible, and just,
Everything is done by text. And our last conversation was after her brother died, and that was an eye opener to me. I was like, "Where's all this coming from? You never told me these things and how you felt. Now you're telling me. Okay, I understand you're angry. What can we do? What can I do to make it better?" And she's like, "Nothing."
But this
So
is what I'm saying about mental health, because I was in a similar situation. And this is what I'm saying about mental health is that when you've done everything that you can as a Muslim and the right person and did the right thing, you have to be able to take a step back or it will drive you crazy.
I think
It's not in your
education too.
control anymore.
Like, I think it's very important for you to educate yourself about these issues, like narcissistic, manipulative women.
Yeah.
It's important for you to pick up books outside of Islam and educate yourself on, this type of behavior, this type of social or psychological behavior, because it will definitely give you an upper hand on the situation and how to come into it. Because right now you're kind of just, walking blind. So definitely try to pick up things that will help you alleviate the stress of dealing with someone that is probably not all there.
yeah, I think this year just was not a good year for a lot of things.
It's 2020, man.
The,
It's not been a good year for anyone.
for some people it has.
This year has been hell for everyone.
But I seriously think after the miscarriage, and then we almost lost her, and then when our son died, that just put her in a different mental state, and it was just a downhill spiral after that. And then when her brother died this past March, no, this past June, that in itself was kind of like the nail in the coffin of me even trying to reconcile or even do anything. And so, and ever since then, I just give her space. Salam alaikum. Hope everything is fine. How are you? How is Amira? Is Amira available? And just leave it at that. And that's just it. And that's all through text. I'm still cool with her mother, her father, other siblings. We talk every once in a while. And for a lot of them, even some of her friends, which I even found strange, that she reached out to one of my friends that she hasn't talked to almost in a couple of years. We saw him last year when we came for a visit to America, and then she reached out to him, and he thought it was very strange. She was like, "Why did she call me? We don't even talk." And so that's when I knew something was not quite there with her. Because her and my friend don't talk at all. I don't even think they're even Facebook friends. And if they are, they don't even, at least with him, he doesn't comment or say anything. So it's just strange and trying to figure things out. And my whole thing is right now is trying to get back overseas. I'm at the point now I'm willing to take a less paying job just to be close to my daughter.
So one of the things that I did when I went through everything that I went through was just pick up a lot of books on different type of, human behavior. There was this period in my life a couple of years ago where I got conned. I know people go through crazy things. And I picked up this book called The Confidence Game. And it was all about why people do the things that con artists do, the things that they do, why we fall for it every time. And it just like opened this new door of understanding and human behavior. And now that I'm able to see certain things that, you know, back then I was just completely ignorant to. So I think definitely you just bringing that type of information into your ballpark is life changing. So definitely try to pick up things, you know, certain signs that you see, even if like it's just like you see some sort of like personality disorder in her. Look, Google it. You know, go to WebMD, Google it, see if you could recognize any of the signs that you might see, and further educate yourself with what you see. And like, you know, you're your own best investigator, and you'll be able to, you know, figure things out if you you know, put your mind to it.
Oh, okay.
Because I think, because it sounds like you need to do a lot of healing.
Yeah.
Like you shared so many things about losing, you know, a son, you know, even the divorce. It sounds like you need to do a lot of healing. So
Yeah.
like maybe when you've healed and, you know, you've reconnected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, I think you'd be ready to address what has happened. Like it just, you reeled off a lot of stuff, and that sounded like a lot of heartache. And I think that for me, when I finally was able to stop caring for my ex who had mental health problems, and I was like a carer, you know, I actually started to now look at myself, look at my children, you know, and it's still, you sound like you just talk about her a lot. Like, you know, I feel like what you should take from this is, you know, alas, the door is closed. Now what? Well, now what is left? You've done your part, and now you need to focus on you, you know, inshallah.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Dealing with the whole issue, because I never want to get into a marriage to get divorced. That's the last thing I wanted to do. If anything, I wanted to be in both my wife and my daughter's life, but circumstances, I had to find work outside of the country, and I constantly got blamed for that. It's like being a rock in a hard place, and I guess for a long time I've just been beating myself up of not trying hard enough in being there or trying to do the best I can while being in Kenya to work and be a provider. So, yeah, that's just been trying to figure out how to stop beating myself up about that and feeling guilty about a lot of things that was beyond my control, because constantly that's what I was always reminded that I didn't do enough.
But isn't Iman about, you know, accepting the good qadar and the bad qadar?
Yeah, right.
You know? And when you do that, like, you might actually realize that Allah, it was a blessing for you, that obviously you couldn't bring yourself to divorce her, but you were suffering. Like, if you're with someone that's got mental health issues, that's not a marriage. That maybe you endured a lot and Allah took you away from that situation, and that's a blessing. Because you don't know, your next wife might be like, mashallah, and you're like, alhamdulillah, thank you Allah. You know what I mean? Why was I just looking at this closed door for so long? Like, you know?
The strange thing about that, even when
that brings up a question. Go ahead, brother Harun.
I was gonna say that's kind of strange. In my
go ahead, my brother.
She was actually saying, "I know you're gonna get remarried soon." I'm like, where is this coming from, sister? If you divorce me, why do you care what I'm about to do? And that was strange for me, because I know how she is when she don't care about anything. She doesn't mention it. So I'm like, why would you bring that up? And that's what I guess she's expecting. We just got divorced and I jump into a marriage this year or beginning 2021. And I'm like, yo, that's the last thing that's on my mind. I'm trying to heal myself. You know, it's just strange. My biggest issue is just trying to take care of my daughter right now and being there for her and being close by her. Because I would never suggest anybody coming back to America anytime soon. This place is crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to be there. I have one more question here.
I gotta go.
Definitely. So be looking for us next week, my brother. I wanted to ask a question to these sisters before you left, man. In relation to the point that he made when it comes down to providing and so forth. When you see a man doing everything he can, and he's working, and then all of a sudden it doesn't come and it doesn't measure out to what you wanted to measure out to. At what point do you say, "Mashallah, brother"? You know what I mean? You'll get it right next time, or do you know what I mean? Because this is what happens a lot. Is a lot of times, sisters, they don't understand the qadr of Allah in certain things. Okay, and when a brother's not able to financially provide the way he may perceive he should provide, then it becomes a negative that kind of like tears a hole into the relationship.
Vanessa.
Doesn't make a difference. Either one of you. It doesn't make a difference. Like she pivoted herself. Okay, so it doesn't make a difference.
I think it's something. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, reasons for divorce is financial difficulty and finances. Here in America, I don't know any other part in the world, but I think that it's something that communication is key when it comes to these things. Is the brother doing everything he possibly can to fix his finances? Is he able to like what's going on? Like, let's try to figure this out, fix things. I think a lot of one thing, I'll tell you this, like my last ex-husband, he was an amazing guy. We just didn't get along. I don't have anything bad to say about him. He was a great guy. He would work a full-time job, and he would hustle on the side. And he and I never had any type of issues financially. So it was all a matter of him getting out there and figuring out what was good for him. And if things didn't work out, and if we were having possibly some kind of disagreement when it came to finances, we would talk it out. So it's really, I don't know, I think it's a tough question to ask, because every single situation is so different when it comes to finances. And I think that each relationship has a way to deal with it. But I think communication is key, and doing like a bullet point, like a checklist of what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, and getting on the same board or same mindset. So yeah, that's where I come from.
Okay.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's such a beautiful thing to come out of it, Like, I've been there where I've ended up being the provider. Like, I think if you've gone into a marriage where the man was able to provide and then his circumstances change, it's a beautiful thing for the sister to be able to do that, because then the brother can see, subhanallah,
she got my back.
She's got my back. And this is where I say it's kind of culture that comes in as well. Because, I'm that ride or die chick, I'm that ride or die wife, And,
but also, okay. No, go ahead, finish. Go ahead, Selena.
There has to be a duration, because there is damage that can be done from a woman providing for her husband.
I agree. Like, I was about to say, like, I would never. That's just something that would be off the table for me. Like, you need to figure that out, because that's your job. That's off my, no.
For a duration of time, because afterwards it becomes harmful. Seriously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the man, right? And I've always said, like, if you're going to put £5, $5, whatever it is, there is something that happens to the woman's heart when the man gives you something in your hand, right? regardless.
Yeah.
She could be earning more than the brother, but he's still like, no, I got you.
Yeah.
Something beautiful.
I think struggling financially is just, it's one of those tests that really see the kind of like test how strong your relationship is and how good you have it with your spouse. It's one of those things that like really push your buttons. Because I know sisters whose husbands lost it all, and they went ahead and
Wow.
said, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. You lost it all, goodbye. And then they go out and get a full-time job and a house by themselves and everything. So I think it really is a testament to how strong your relationship is and where you are. So communication and strengthening your relationship in general is one of those priorities that you need to give you give your marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's so much as well. It's like, for me, like, if a husband's providing for me, what you want, baby? What you got? I got you, man. You know what I mean? You want me to go do that for you? But when you're giving the money, it's like, what you want, man? Like, you want something?
Attitude, yeah. No, because I think that a lot of men, and this is just from my background, because I've always worked. I think that a lot of men, when a woman is taking care of them, one of the important parts of a man's anatomy is ego. Ego is negative, but it's a positive thing also. And the ego that I got this, and he's taking care of things. At this point in time, this part of the ego is working in a positive, it's working positively. But when all of a sudden he can't do it, and he doesn't have the capabilities to do it, and all of a sudden, boom, she's handling it. It gets hard for him. It gets hard for him. And so it gets hard to the point where he may feel grateful, but that gratefulness gets to a point where he may need something. And it's just how I am. I'm like this right here. I may need something. And I'm not going to ask none of my wives, except that I'm going to clarify and put it out that, hey, this is what I need. This is what I'm going to give it back to you. Okay. So that, you got to have a cutoff date, because if you don't, that's when problems occur. You know what I mean? This is just from my, this is my mind. This is how I understand things. This is how I see things. And so
I think all men see it that
at
way.
some point, huh? Say again?
I think all men see it that way. All men understand that.
No, sister, all men don't. Unfortunately, I know some brothers.
I think it's just lazy, and they get to that point where this is beneficial for me. This is easy. This is the easy way out. Let me just go ahead and exploit this person or this woman, this individual, because she's just putting it in my hands. And I think that
I seen it happen, and it destroyed my ex. It drove him into depression, because he couldn't get a job because of his circumstances. He couldn't get a job, and it's your microphone, Vanessa. Please mute your microphone. But it drove him to depression, right? And the story just continues from there. But it definitely, I seen a part of him just dissolve into nothing. It was like, could you give me some money so I could go and get my protein thing for my bodybuilding? And I was like, sure,
Can't look in
the eye.
Yeah.
But then I was serious. But then I was struggling, so I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Whereas it's not really my place to do that. Like it was a horrible experience. Yeah. People should stay away from it. SubhanAllah.
Yeah. And so the point that I was making is that there's
it's frozen.
I think it's
frozen.
Yeah, it froze.
Well, let's summarize then, shall we?
We can't hear you.
You know what I mean?
It's frozen.
Yeah.
Maybe it's frozen on his side too.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
It's getting better, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
There we go. I think that's
so we're coming in time in which we plan on closing anyway. It's already been an hour and 10 minutes, and so what I'm going to do is I will look and see the feedback, and what I plan to do is I plan to
Lost it.
Lost him.
It's just me and you, Vanessa. So
hey, girl, it's always a pleasure.
Can you summarize 5 characteristics?
Summarize. Okay. So the biggest one, Shalina, was or is a person that wants to grow and doesn't stay stuck in that same mentality. You know what I mean? Like self-help books. They're self-help books for a reason.
That's
why we need them. A person that is financially stable. And I would prefer someone with an education. Someone that's been educated and that has that level up. I think that it really does make a difference. I think, is that a characteristic or is that just like
yeah,
maybe
it's so hard to say characteristic traits, but I guess someone who's ready to thrive and not stay stagnant,
right? That's what I'm definitely, for sure. And someone who isn't afraid to be vulnerable. I think that's one huge trait that someone should have, because relationships are hard. The last thing you want is to be pulling teeth with someone else, right? Being able to talk through issues and have adult conversation without getting into it. And I don't know, let's see what else. How many is that? 3? And it's character, right? It's just character. Okay, let's see.
I didn't hear you guys, sister, so I'm sorry.
We're summarizing.
I didn't hear you guys. And okay. So without further ado, I know it's getting late. Some of us got to go to work tomorrow, and I'm happy to have you guys on here. Brother Mukhtar, you came in late, brother. You have missed the program, so hopefully you'll be in on the program next week. We may be continuing, sisters, with the same program, and we're going to try to move the program into a different area, okay? Because we basically wanted to hear from a sister's perspective. What I might tackle next week is relationships, dealing with polygamy from both perspectives, maybe from a sister's perspective and also from a brother's perspective. And like I told those brothers, I said, yeah, you brothers deadbeat. But when I go ahead and I put the topic of polygamy out on the table, you brothers gonna be knocking at the door, busting to get up in here. You know what I mean? And so, but we got some diehard brothers that are always up in here. Brother Mukhtar, he came late, but he's one of the diehard brothers. Also, Brother Harun. So, without further ado, sisters, we appreciate you that you took the time to actually come on here and give us, your insight. And I'm quite sure Brother Harun, he was happy for the feedback, because that's what we needed last week, some female feedback on issues like this right here. So once again, we appreciate you, sisters, and I will be sending you guys a link to next week, inshallah. If you choose to join, please, we appreciate you. Okay, thank you once again.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, appreciate it, sisters. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother getting up in here all late.